Okay. Now, our next guest is about to come on. I think he's in the green room. You won't believe where he's at, but he's about to come on. So, big welcome to Simon Hill, who joins us all the way from Sydney. There he is.
Good.
Simon, how are you? Very, very good. You sound like you're in a car. In fact, you are in a car
at ANZ Stadium, because I've just done a pre-game show for Sydney FC on their Facebook page, and it's very chilly out here, so I've come back to my car.
Very good.
Fantastic.
Good evening, Simon. Thanks for coming.
Very chilly down in...
Sorry, go on, Tonch.
I was going to say it's very chilly down in Victoria. It's the perfect weather to have a lockdown. But I must say it has been very entertaining watching the A-League resumption, and we're just talking about it, and we'd love to get your take on it right from the outset. This move to winter, could this be an absolute hit? Because the quality of football has been pretty darn good.
Well, who would have thought it, hey? A winter game being played in winter. Strange that. Of course it's going to be better. It's cooler temperatures. I think the pitches have got a little bit more give in them because obviously it's wetter, it's a bit softer, fewer injuries. I think the tempo's better. Look, I think it's a no-brainer. I know that people are scared of going up against AFL and rugby league, but at some point in our evolution, we have to forget about those codes and do what's best for our sport. And this is what's best for our sport, and that is playing in winter. If we get a better product, maybe we'll entice more people to come and watch it.
Yeah, and I think good evening, Simon. Thanks for joining us. Look, I think the winter thing. Look, I think going to winter, it's not a short-term fix. It's not all of a sudden going to get millions of viewers and millions of people into a stadium. There's got to be a lead time into this to get it right. I've been amazed by some of the football that's been played over the last 2 weeks. I think the game's quicker, which then means the players have to be on their toes a little bit more. Their technical ability has to come out a little bit because it's sharper, it's wetter. You've got proper defending where people are slide tackles, which is you can't do in the middle of summer when the pitches are rock hard. So I think it's a big tick for the A-League this winter, and really looking forward to it to continue. One thing I want to ask you, VAR hasn't been introduced since we've come back into the A-League. Surely we're better off without it, mate, aren't we? Well, he's gone. Is he?
Have we lost him? Hello? You can't hear Craig? He can't hear Craig. Okay. Okay. So, VAR, Simon, this is what Craig was asking. The VAR, we haven't had the VAR, and your thoughts on it. Should it stay away or should we have it? Because I tell you what, I think the referees have been doing a better job without the VAR.
Tonch, just say.
How much better is it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. VAR, winter football, all of a sudden it looks like football, doesn't it? Strange. Okay, we don't have any crowds in the ground at the moment, which is unfortunate. That's not going to change for a while due to COVID. But I think what supporters are gradually realising, not just in Australia but all around the world, is that maybe if we give the refs a bit of a break and just allow them to get on with their job rather than blaming them for every single decision that goes wrong. When in actual fact, the stats show that they get between 95 and 98% of decisions right within a 90-minute period, then the flow of the game is so much better. Now, the alternative is you have stoppages for 2 or 3 minutes whilst a referee peers into a little screen and we don't know what's going on. We can't get replays. We can't get audio of the feed because FIFA won't allow it. It ruins the game. It's not rocket science. Football is the biggest game in the world because it's very simple and the rules are written in such a way to give a lot of discretion to the referee. And of course, referees make mistakes. We all know that. That's because there's a lot of grey areas in the laws and it leaves a lot open to interpretation. Gives us all something to talk about during the week. I'd rather be talking about that than saying, we had a 3-minute delay for VAR and we still don't agree on the decision. What is the point?
Yeah. Now we've got a progress score from the game up there in Sydney. Adelaide United have taken an early lead in the 13th minute. Jordan Elsey has scored. Adelaide United 1, Sydney FC 0. That's not good news for Western United fans. But that's another success story, hasn't it been? Adelaide United, Carl Viet, the new coach there, interim coach, the newly appointed coach, another Aussie. We've seen Warren Moon appointed up at Brisbane Roar. We've seen a lot of the youngsters at Melbourne Victory given a go. Mate, this A-League seems to be revitalised as a result of COVID, so maybe we should be thanking COVID.
Well, I don't know whether we should be thanking COVID, but yes, I know what you mean.
Yes.
Again, I think this has a lot to do with the fact that the tempo of the games is better, but also it's given the teams that were perhaps in a bit of a slump a chance to reorganise. And of course, with Adelaide, before the COVID break, they'd lost 4 games in a row and they'd conceded 15 goals. Now, the first thing that Carl Viet has to do is obviously tighten up that defence. They've taken 7 points out of 9. They look to be a much happier camp. And if they win tonight, I mean, they're almost nailed on for the finals. I'm a little bit concerned about Sydney FC at the moment. Since winning the premiership, maybe it's a natural sort of a bit of a drop-off when the trophy's won. They've got 1 or 2 injuries. Ryan Grant not playing at the moment. Luke Bratton is suspended tonight due to 8 yellow cards. But they've lost 2 in a row for the first time in 2 years. They haven't lost 3 games in a row in the A-League since 2013, which is extraordinary. So that could happen tonight. As you say, Adelaide leading 1-0.
Yeah, there's something definitely there that's not right. And as I said before you came on, Simon, can you hear me, Simon, or not? No.
No, it doesn't look like you can hear. Craig's talking at the moment, Simon.
Talking rubbish.
I can't hear that lovely lilting Welsh accent. Sorry, Craig. I can only hear Tonji.
There you go.
Unlucky.
Not to worry. Go on, Craig. You're going to say something.
Yeah, a couple of things. We touched on it earlier on. Central Coast Mariners.
Central Coast Mariners. I'm not like the middleman now.
You are. Central Coast Mariners finished bottom of the league 5 out of 6 seasons. Wooden spoon again. Yeah.
So Central Coast Mariners finished on the bottom of the ladder for the last. I'm like a translator now. The 5 out of the last 6 seasons. Go on, Craig.
What needs to be done there, Simon? Is this not now the perfect opportunity to get
I think it's quite straightforward, to be honest. They need a change of ownership, and the news today is that they're in negotiations with a consortium. I think there's part of it is like a fan-based consortium to buy out Mike Charlesworth, who's reiterated his desire to sell. And look, in fairness to Mike, they won a title in his early years in 2013, but he hasn't been able to keep up with the bigger clubs in the A-League in terms of the investment. They're the smallest club in the league, but they have a very important role to play in the competition. And I know a lot of people say, we should just get rid of the Mariners because they don't work. Well, that's not how you build longevity in a competition. You have big clubs, you have small clubs. The Mariners have got 15 years of history, and a lot of that has been very successful. I think we need to keep the Mariners, but they need a change of ownership, and they need a fresh approach. Mike Charlesworth has been running it for many years from his home in London. You can't run a club on the other side of the world from London. So I think it needs local owners. It needs people with a passion for the club and hopefully a bit of money as well. To invest. The Mariners are never going to be Melbourne Victory or Sydney FC or the Wanderers because they're a small club, but they can be much more competitive than they have been in the last 4 or 5 years. And I hope that sale, if it is a sale, goes through quickly.
Now, I suppose with the predicament that they do find themselves in performance-wise on the park, does this add a little bit more leverage to the concept of a second division and promotion and relegation and those sort of things? But what are the limitations as far as licensing requirements or licensing agreements? And in your opinion, is there a way around that?
Well, there is a way around it. I mean, at the moment, the A-League clubs have got licenses till 2034 as a bare minimum. But You can set up a new structure with, say, an A1 and an A2 league. So they're still technically.
That's what I suggested tonight. That's exactly what I suggested tonight. Yeah. We're on the same wavelength there. Yeah, I got excited.
I think most football fans, Tonji, are on the same page with this.
Yeah.
What we want is an authentic competition. The A-League was set up as a closed shop. It was set up as a franchise league, and there were good reasons for doing that at the time. But times change, and people are tired of a closed competition.
Yeah.
They want it opened up. They want competitive tension at the top and the bottom of the table. We want promotion and relegation ultimately. It doesn't have to happen tomorrow, but we need to know what the model is so we can get this national second division up and running ASAP and take away this glass ceiling for a lot of our NPL clubs and maybe new franchises as well that want to join it. Remember, It's only 18 months ago, we had 15 potential new clubs, all wanting to be a part of the A-League. In the end, they went with Western United and MacArthur FC. Okay, what happened to the other bids? Did we just wave them off at the dock and say, thanks very much for your interest, see you later? They should be still engaged in this process and be a part, if they want to be and can afford to be, of a new national second division. We've got such a big football culture in this country. We're only just starting to scrape the surface of where we can go with it. But we've got to be authentic. We've got to give football fans what they want. Winter football, forget VAR. Get rid of the gimmicks, bring in a second division, promotion and relegation. That's all we want. And then it'll work.
Absolutely. The COVID crisis, how much of a setback is that for the development of football or the further development of football, particularly structurally, because the money now is all of a sudden really dried up?
Well, you said a few moments ago, maybe we should thank COVID. And I was sort of a bit reticent about that, and I still am. But I think what it has done is it's focused a lot of minds around the country amongst all the different stakeholders. Fox have obviously cut their investment almost by half. Mm-hmm. It looks as though they want out. Well, okay. Now that should focus our minds to really develop our own platform. We can always still have a carriage partner, a KO or an Optus or a DAZN or somebody else, and that will require big investment, and it's a big challenge. But we've got to do it. We have to own our own content, because the mainstream, as it's proven over the last 3 or 4 years, does not want us. And that's their choice, but that's fine. What they're actually doing at the moment is they're hurting us through lack of publicity and promotion for the game. We've got to take control of that back. And that means owning our own content on our own platform, getting the whole football community involved. And then you sell off the cream of the crop, the A-League games, the Socceroos, the Matildas, what have you. But it's time to do it. The time is now, and the clock is already ticking on this. The Fox Sports deal ends in July 2021. We've got to be ready long before that.
Yeah. Oh, we've got Craig back. Can you hear Craig? Simon, can you hear? No.
Can't hear it.
Yeah, okay. Now, with the ever-changing football landscape, Simon, it's also, I suppose, you're a part of that ever-changing football landscape. You're no longer with Fox Sports. Just recently, it was announced you were going to be heading up Optus Sports coverage of the Champions League. But also, since you have left Fox Sports, it seems to me like one, you left your razor behind in the change rooms there. The beard seems to be growing, and the other thing is you're also the shackles seem to be off, so to speak, and that we're starting to see a lot more of your opinion pieces in The Guardian. We're also, and more importantly, the new podcast. Tell us about the new podcast.
Absolutely. Well, it's called Shim, Spider, and so much more. It's with me, Zelko Kalatz and Craig Moore. And you're right. One of the reasons we set the podcast up, and to be honest, we had this idea even before I'd left Fox Sports, is that the game desperately needs opinions. It needs to have public conversations. And because of the mainstream disinterest in our sports, we've not been able to have those conversations. Now, what's happened is a lot of people who worked in football, and I'm a classic example, have actually left that mainstream. But we're now finding homes in the new media, and that's the future. The old mediums are not going to be around for very long, in my opinion. The whole landscape is shifting. So, I've seen it, and I'm trying to model my new career on that, and hopefully for me personally it pays off. But I think more importantly, for the game, we need to have a range of opinions, because without those conversations, the game becomes bland, it becomes sanitized, it becomes controlled by the commercial interests, and people switch off, because fans aren't stupid. They know when you're not allowed to say things. They know when you're not allowed to have proper conversations about the game. And we've not been allowed to have those conversations for way too long. Now I'm free to have those conversations. And make no mistake, I'll be having them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Shim, how did you get the nickname Shim?
It actually...
David Zabudovic had anything to do with it, did he?
No, he didn't actually. It was actually given to me at SBS. When I worked there, because everybody with an Anglo name, it was almost like the reverse Laszlo Urga, because Laszlo had to change his name to Les Murray to be accepted. So to be accepted at SBS, if you were Anglo, you had to have your name ethnicized. So I became Shime, which of course is Croatian for Simon, and I actually became Shime Ilic. So I quite like it. I've been called worse things, let me tell you.
Yeah, no, it's actually nice. And Spider, Kalatz and Craig Moore, who have also been past guests of our show. And we'd like to think that we gave you guys the inspiration to start the podcast, which is absolutely fantastic to hear. How can people tune into the podcast, more importantly?
Well, you can download it. We put the link up on Twitter and Facebook every week. It's also on Google Podcasts. It's on Spotify. It's on one other, blimey, I can't remember the name of all these different podcasts. It's hosted by Buzzsprout, but we put it on so many different platforms. Apple Podcasts. So it's on all the big podcast outlets.
Yeah, absolutely. Shim, Spider, and so much more. It is it's fantastic to hear that. And the Champions League kicking off this weekend, or restarting, we should say. Early in the show, Craig and I, when Craig was around, he's done a runner. We went through the preview, but yeah, looking forward to that. Are you, Simon?
Yeah, absolutely. Because not least, the first game I'm calling is actually my team, Man City against Real Madrid. That should be a cracker. Obviously, City leading 2-1 from the first leg, and then the day after, I've got Barcelona and Napoli, who are all square at 1-1 after their first leg. So it's a very busy month for me, because I'm also doing A-League finals for SEN Radio and Football Nation. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's great to be busy and back involved in football and getting back behind the mic on Saturday morning, the wee small hours.
Tons. Do us a favour, because he can't hear me. Ask him what he thinks of the omission of Gareth Bale.
You can hear him. Oh, you can hear him. Oh, yes.
You just chose not to listen to me for the last 20 minutes, haven't you?
Yeah, I just ignored you, Craig. No, I'm only
kidding. How are you, mate? You all right?
The Gareth Bale one is an interesting one, isn't it? I think it's quite clear that the relationship between club and player is pretty much broken. I know he's had a fair bit of grief from the fans. He's had injuries, and I think the fans are saying that a lot of that is to do with his obsession with golf. I don't know whether that's true, but I think it's pretty clear that his time is up there, and I won't be surprised to see him back at Spurs, to be honest. I think that's probably where his other spiritual home is.
Do you think so? Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. Now we've got Santino Mamoni, a good friend of the radio, saying, Simon, why don't you play a little bit of heavy metal in your car? You're a big fan of heavy metal. How is it going along, by the way?
Well, I do. We played my band. I played a heavy metal cover band called Green Manalishi, and we played our first gig in many a long while. First as a 5-piece on Tuesday night at a pub in the inner west of Sydney. We went down pretty well. I actually did a 45-minute set. Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, Motorhead, Judas Priest covers. So yeah, I love it. That's my life away from football, and hence why I have the beard and the headband, and bring it on. I've always been a metalhead.
Next time we put you on, next time we bring you on, you'll have to wear some sort of like an Ozzy Osbourne wig or something like that. Actually, I'm
a drummer, Tonji, so it'd have to be John Bonham top or somebody like that.
Yeah, something completely nothing to do with football. I was watching a special on YouTube about the Peaky Blinders, the making of the Peaky Blinders, and they were talking about how they were perfecting the Birmingham accent. And I can't remember who it was that was saying, might have been one of the female actresses. She said, I was watching Ozzy Osbourne and listening to Ozzy Osbourne and trying to perfect that Birmingham accent. It was very.
Let me tell you, it's very difficult to speak Brummie because it's one of the hardest accents in the UK. But I was actually, back in the day, I lived and was married to a girl from the Black Country. Not married to her anymore, but I lived on the outskirts of Birmingham. So yeah, I could do a bit of the Brummie accent, but it's not my favourite, to be honest.
Yeah, when Grice when what's his name, Killian, was it Murphy? Is that the Irish actor that plays
Cillian Murphy? Yeah,
brilliant acting, by the way. My wife, we've talked about your love, your passion for heavy metal away from football, but how else do you just calm down, relax when you're not consumed by football, not consumed by say heavy metal? What else do you like to do in your spare time?
Well, I'm a bit of a strange one, really, because I'm fascinated by political history. So I read books on particularly the Second World War, communist Russia, or the Soviet Union as it was, North Korea, things like that. Yeah, I studied politics and sociology at university many years ago, and politics fascinates me. I'm a bit of a trendy old socialist, a trendy lefty, latte sipping lefty as they call us. So I'm very much into my politics. So I read all that and watch a lot of documentaries on those sorts of programs.
You'll be reading one about communist Victoria in the next couple of years, mate, I'm sure. There'll be a book out coming out soon. Watch this space.
Spoken like a true Neil Kinnock there,
isn't it? Yes. See those two houses there, but mine's the middle one, isn't it?
You're going to start polarizing us here, Simon, and the viewers and everything like that. On that note, thank you very much for joining us, mate. Really do appreciate it. Shim, Spider, and so much more. Looking forward to many more episodes of the podcast. Looking forward to a lot more, let's say, a lot more relevant football content and discussion from yourself as well. And it can only be good for football here in Australia. So, and we really appreciate your time. It's absolutely, we are very grateful. Thank you.
Pleasure, guys. I'll try and
congratulations on the new job as well, mate. It's about time you're back on the screens, mate. Fantastic.
Thanks very much, Craig. And maybe when this COVID thing's over, I'll get down to see you all in Melbourne, eh?